Can we please give a warm 60 Days of Summer welcome to Coach Jim Calhoun.
Such a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
So, Coach, we're going to talk about your Springfield roots in a bit, because one of my favorite pieces of your story is the Springfield section, and it's a very significant one. But before we do that, let's go all the way back to Braintree, Mass.
Okay.
Born and raised in Braintree, Mass, really as Massachusetts, New England as we can get. 3-sport star. You were a high school schoolboy powerhouse. But when we talk about shaping a young Jim Calhoun, we talk about the loyalty to family. You lost your pops when you were 15. Can you talk a little bit about the Jim Calhoun that guided all of those young men later on, how maybe those experiences were born in those days in Braintree?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a great upbringing as I had, I think it's great that you have a great town, city, folks you came from. And Braintree was a great place. It's about 12 miles outside the city. We thought it was country. It wasn't country. We have an MBTA stop, so you can go to Dorchester from there. And by the way, my accent is 100%. I say car and half and all those kind of things. But yeah, I mean, growing up in that town, and my dad was from the city. He was a Merchant Marine Academy graduate, Kings Point, and had been around the world 5 times, was an incredible person. I lost him at 15, and my life, like a lot of folks, changed, but it changed actually much then, but years later. So I got a full scholarship to college, went away to school on a basketball scholarship, and my mom started having heart problems, and we had, there was 6 and me, 7 of us, and so I needed to go home to help her. That was about 3.5 months after I started college. And that's going to make you change, because an awful lot of things happen to you in the sense that even though the day that my dad died, I walked up to my mother as the oldest son. I had 1 brother and 5 sisters. But to walk up to my mother and say, Mom, I'll take care of you. I had no idea what that meant, none. And yet it came a couple years later when I needed to go home and she couldn't work anymore. And I worked for almost 2 years as a stonecutter. Now, stonecutter in Quincy, Massachusetts, getting up every single morning at 5:30 and getting to that shed and sandblasting and working with some incredibly bright people who'd come from Italy, that some of the stonecutters had, and just other places, gave me so much different look at life. And it's funny when I finally, by the pushing and urging of a father-like figure, Fred Herget, my high school coach, and my principal and my football coach, to make me go back to school, because I needed to. And when I went back, I was different than the average, at that time, almost 20-year-old freshman. I had been through some things, had some ideas of responsibility, and someone said, you knew what you wanted to be. I had no idea. I just wanted to be good at what I did. And so, but that's kind of like, I got bitter after my dad died because it wasn't fair. Well, everybody knows in here, life's not always fair. Like, I don't like equality, I like equal opportunity, and that's what life is. Life is an equal opportunity situation. No one's given things, but you're given the opportunity. And my opportunity working those days was to give a lot of my money to my mother, hopefully stay out of some trouble, which I didn't always do, because I was upset, not bitter, but upset by the fact my guys had all gone to different colleges all over the country. Other guys were playing athletics, and I wasn't, but you know what? It turned out, that experience, to be a life-building experience about you can do an awful lot of things. If you make your mind up, you can do them.
Yes, sir. And at 20 years old, we talk about a different kind of freshman. You then show up right up the road, American International College, something that I'm not sure many people are aware of. You were a 20-year-old freshman there. Stayed with, actually, I believe your roommate was Paul Procopio, from Pittsfield, Massachusetts' own Paul Procopio. And you show up there and things start to happen. You start to, I think, find the person that you were going to be. Was there a specific class or teacher or coach that that relighted that fire, that pushed you on this track that you ended up on?
Yeah, I don't know if there's no particular moment like all of us. There's moments. You know, life is a motion picture. Everybody takes selfies today, but that only tells one story at one moment in time. Mine was a number of things from an English professor who saw other things in me, okay, to a difficult biology professor, Dr. Adair, who really pushed me and brought things out I never thought I had. And the family atmosphere at AIC was incredible. And I just experienced that as I started to look back at that time, that the folks of my own town, the village that I came from, Braintree, Massachusetts, took care of me in the sense of making sure I get back to school, making sure things were going all right, making sure they watch over my family while I was away. And, you know, and all those things became very important. And I guess the guys always said that I had time to have fun, but I didn't have time to do stupid things. I had time to do things that help your life and help you and enjoy yourself and, you know, and play basketball and have Henry Payne, a great player here in Springfield, Moose Stronzak from Chicopee, Paul Procopio, Jimmy Sands from Ware. I mean, places that I never, where I said, I don't know where you're from, but he was from Ware, Massachusetts. And Franco Pedosano. You know, and all these great guys from Cathedral High School. And I loved it up here, and I had a great experience up here. And, you know, afterwards, I got a chance to try out with the Boston Celtics. I've been fortunate enough to average 20-something a game. And, you know, at that time, they had, my kids kid me, you a little All-American? Well, that's what they called in those days, college division and university division. Bottom line, I didn't know what to do when Bill Russell told me that they're going to keep this guy named John Havlicek. I never know what happened to him. I think he turned out pretty good, by the way. But I returned up here and started going to school to get my master's degree and helping out with the team for 2 years. And it was a great experience for me. And I'm incredibly indebted to AIC, but incredibly indebted to people who take time to help others. Because all of us in our lives have stories. I'm telling you some of my story, but you all have stories. Every one of you have a story. And I have the opportunity at times to tell my story, not as any reflection of anything except life is about winning every day and seizing the opportunities when they come along.
Gosh, that's inspiring. It truly is. And that's, I know, part of the dedication of your life has been that. And on behalf of our good friends and partners at Hager Clothing, who graciously provide all of our Hall of Famers with their Hall of Fame Naismith orange jacket, I'd like to ask today's Hager Innovator question. And it involves your first head coaching job at Northeastern University. In addition to winning, which is always number one, you were also tasked with moving that school from Division II up to Division I, NCAA Division II to Division I. How much innovation did that take as a coach, a young coach, to now take everything you knew and also be tasked with this major move? Was it an innovation moment for you?
Yeah, it was, but it was exciting. As I said, it was an opportunity. You know, we were, I think, preseason ranked in the 26 years I was at UConn, I think #1 in the country at least 4 times. People said, oh, that's awful, the pressure. Pressure? It would really be one. Why would you want to be #1 at what you do? And so I said, going from Division II, which is great, I played Division II, but going to Division I and playing at that time, the Providences of the world and the UMasses of the world and Boston College on a regular basis was pretty special. I think we had just broadened who we were. You know, when I came to Northeastern, 9 of the 12 kids could take the MBTA to
Really?
campus at Northeastern, to Huntington Avenue.
Really?
Yeah, Somerville and Malden and Quincy. And, you know, we thought if we got a kid from Connecticut, it was like getting a kid from overseas. You know? I mean, we had kids really from all over Boston area. And we had to expand that because obviously, once you start going up in level, everybody else is using the national search, and we started getting some terrific players out of Pittsburgh and some of the other places.
One of the places and one of the players I'd love to ask you about from Baltimore. Celtics fans and NBA fans will remember the great Reggie Lewis as the kind, gentle leader on the floor. Now, I say Reggie Lewis, I never had a chance to meet, work, coach with. You recruited him out of Baltimore, you had him at Northeastern. What can you tell us about Reggie Lewis that people maybe don't talk about enough?
Well, he was a unique guy. I mean, he played in those great Dunbar teams with Reggie Williams, Muggsy Bogues, and himself. 3 kids from the same class, all were first-round draft choices. We're not talking college, we're talking high school. Conversely, he never started a high school game. And by age 25, he was captain of the Boston Celtics. Wow. And at age 26, he was an all-star for 2 straight years before his untimely death of a heart attack. And he was an amazing kid. The guy he's most similar to, and this guy is most similar to him, is Kimball Walker. Because they played on their face with a joy and love for the game. You know, I was with Kimba when he signed his contract, I think in February, a 4-year contract worth $50 million. In today's day and age, that's not that much money. It's a lot of money for all of us, obviously. But he says to me, Coach, I love this game so much, I'd play for nothing. I said, shh, don't tell anybody. Don't say a word. And Reggie was the same way. They loved the gym. They loved their teammates. They loved the competition. And Reggie was one of the sweetest kids and a great player. Michael Jordan said he had the best first step in basketball. And a guy that he called Birdie, Larry Bird, helped him over their first 3 years unbelievably. I mean, and Larry was not the kind of guy to put his arms around many guys. He loved Reggie Lewis as I did.
Gosh, I could talk Reggie Lewis for days. Of course, in '86, you make the move to the school with which your face is synonymous, UConn. I'm sure that everyone here thinks about those titles, thinks about Shabazz and Kemba, Drummond, Gordon, Okafor, Ray Allen, Rip Hamilton. I could legitimately just list the players for the next 2 minutes, but I won't. Is there one guy, similar to the last question, is there one guy who maybe didn't end up in the NBA on an all-star team, winning a title, that you think had it all, and just a couple of extra things could have broken his way, and things could have been special?
Well, there's 2 special guys, I think. First thing, I think that Chris Smith, a great player out of Bridgeport, Colby Cathedral. By the way, Colby Cathedral High School in Bridgeport is located on a great place, Calhoun Place. True story. So I get down to recruit him. I see the Calhoun on the sign right next to the school. We got a chance in this one. They named the street after me already, and I haven't even coached. But I got Chris, and Chris was down to us, North Carolina, and Wake Forest. And he said a great statement. If I'm going to be great someplace, might as well be great in my hometown, meaning Connecticut. And he came, he did a lot of things for us. He became a terrific player, played 5 years in the league and then played internationally and doing very well right now. Secondly, he truly was a great player and got us into a Final 8 game, which we lost to a guy named Christian Leighton, who made a jump shot against us in 1990. But my point being is, him coming to UConn, because UConn had lost so many players out of state, from Mike Jerminski, who went to Duke, to a whole bunch of kids who went to Villanova and all over the place. A lot of kids, Michael Adams and so on, John Bagley, who came to BC. We started to get the Scott Burrells and some of the great players out of Connecticut. And I think that Chris Smith set that up. I always felt that one guy in Connecticut history, he played 3 years for us, was Daron Sheffer, who to me was as great a player as I ever had, and just the first guy in the second round, and the Clippers never let him loose. Bill Fitch was the coach. I remember it like yesterday, because he said, I'm going to make him want to get paid money. And I tried to tell Bill Fitch, Bill, his family can buy your team. His dad was a diamond merchant, and his family owned a big part of Il Airlines, the Airlines of Israel. So it wasn't a fiscal thing, and he didn't release him. If he had, he would have gone with the Hawks, and I truly believe been a 10 or 12-year NBA player.
Wow.
Great player.
Now, after this question, I'm going to ask for you if you've been ruminating on something. Maybe you want to ask a follow-up to something I've asked. After this question, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand, and one of the great Hoop Hall staffers will come over, recognize you, put you in line over here, and you'll get that opportunity. So similarly, your 3 title teams were all so different in makeup. 99, 2004, and then again in 2011. I'm not going to ask you to rank them because they're all special. It's like your children, right? You don't want to rank them.
No question.
How were they different? And was there one that stands out as maybe the one that overachieved its way to a title?
Well, yeah, I don't think you ever overachieved. I think it's impossible. I think you play to your max. No, I truly believe that. I don't think an inferior team can win a championship. Okay, I think a team that A, gets in the right bracket, you know, and plays the right teams, and catches the magic it needs to win an NCAA tournament. And my opinion of that, by the way, is very simply, the one thing I think we did at Connecticut, we always rebounded, we always had terrific guards, we had big guys that could rebound. All those things we always did. But the key thing is we could beat you in a 48-40 game. We also could beat you 82-80. You know, we could play a lot of different ways, and I think you see Duke, Carolina, teams that can beat you in multiple different ways have a much better opportunity to do that. The first team, 99, was a team that lost in 98 in the Final 8 to North Carolina, in North Carolina, and Vince Carter and that crew. And on the bus after a game, I think we were 30-4 or 5 that year. It's amazing. The game's over about less than an hour. We did our media stuff afterwards, get on the bus to head out to the airport to go home. We vowed to win it the following year. Next year, we won 24 straight. This is Khalid Al-Amin, Richard Hamilton, Jake Voskuhl, Kevin Freeman. I mean, terrific, Ricky Moore, terrific team. Alonzo. I mean, this is a really, really good team. That was the ultimate team that I ever had. We ended up being, I mean, Duke was 26 straight. We won 24 straight that year. Two terrific teams, and we beat them because at the end, we were a little bit older and probably a little tougher. We had a really tough mentality. To go 34-2 with that team, with all we just were really special. And that team, though, was a full 14 months into getting ready to win a championship. It was amazing to me that we prepared, this very rarely happened, and did it. In 2004, and I'll tell you the truth, if we hadn't won it, it would have been one of the biggest disappointments of my coaching career because we had 6 first-round draft choices on that team, including the 2 and second and third guy taken, Mecca Okafor, Ben Gordon, Charlie Villanueva, Hilton Armstrong, Josh Boone, Marcus Williams, all first-round draft choices. And I would have thought it had been dereliction of duty if we hadn't won. But we played a lot of good teams. We almost locked to Duke in the semifinals when everybody got in foul trouble, and I held the Mecca out for the first half, but he came back and had 19 in the second half and played great. And then probably the most unlikely team, not overachieving, was the 11 team that caught magic and we had a drum leader. We had a guy that everybody followed in Kimber. Kimber Walker is the epitome as a coach, as a fan, as a teammate. I'll tell you a quick story that doesn't happen much in modern basketball. We're in Maui. In the first game, we beat a good Wichita State team. Second game, we beat Michigan State, and then we beat Kentucky by 30. Out of nowhere, not ranked, okay, we win the Maui Invitational. Kimber, who averaged 30 points a game, MVP. So we get on the bus again to go back to the hotel, happy as heck. Kids get on, they're all excited. Had to wait a half an hour for Kimber because of all the media, national, it's a big, big event, obviously, the Maui Invitational in Hawaii. He gets on the bus, and I was a head coach in Division I basketball for 40 years. The entire bus, his teammates, stood up and clapped as he got on that bus. Wow. No one ever said it should have been me. No, because of who Kimber was, what he was, the bus, no one said it. He carrying that big trophy, like bigger than him.
Yeah.
And the entire bus got up, and everybody just started clapping.
That's remarkable.
I never saw anything like that because in this age of the me, okay, not the we as much, but the me, that loved him so much, as I did too, and still do. And I see him, we spent some time in Hilton Head this past winter when I was doing my ESPN. Instead of going straight to some of the Big Ten games, what I'd do is I would stop in Charlotte, see he and Jeremy Lamb, spend a day with them, have dinner, go to the game. I did that 4 different times during the year. But, I've had a lot of special players, and from Ray to Rip to Kimber to Mecca to Ben to Karan Butler to all these, Rudy Gay, to all these guys. But when you start talking about the total package of what the coaches feel about him, his love for the game, Kimber Walker's going to be very high on anybody's list. And I never got over that because I never saw it before. Doesn't mean that guys didn't appreciate what a teammate did. think about an entire bus of young people, unsolicited, stood up and gave a teammate a standing ovation. That's all you really need to know about Kimba.
Yeah, it's
and then, you know, a few months after that, about 4 months after that, they stand up when he was the MVP of the Final Four.
One of the most memorable Final Fours for any of us, for sure. So now's the time. If you have a question, you feel free to raise your hand, and one of the staffers will come over and recognize you. Of course, one of your former players and students, Kevin Ollie, is now the skipper at the helm down in Stores. Can you talk about how hard that is for you personally to have one of your students, one of your players? It almost feels like it would have been better maybe for your sanity to have someone who you had no connection to, let alone one of your guys. Has that been, and how can you talk about sort of Kevin's journey as an NCAA coach?
Well, as a coach, sanity left a long time ago, replaced by a different kind of guy. But you know, it's great having Kevin come in. I think Kevin symbolized a lot we wanted from our players. I mean, he was relentless as a player, incredibly hardworking. And, you know, I've got a lot of my kids out there coaching, and I'm really proud of what they've done. It's been incredible. It really has been. And to have the opportunity to watch Kevin grow as a coach, and he's still growing, but win a national championship was wonderful. Watching my guys coach, I go to see Scotty Burrell, who's head now coach at Southern Connecticut. Tommy Moore was at Quinnipiac, and I keep going. These guys, it's special to see your guys do something really special, and it's great to see Kevin doing so well.
Coach, my final question for you is this. You're a class of 2005 Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame enshrinee. What is it like in this moment, sitting on this court underneath your own face, the faces of some of your friends and mentors and colleagues, right now working with the Hall of Fame?
Well, the Hall of Fame is a special place. I think that the story I told you about my life, and you all could, as I said before, you could tell the story about things you went through to get where you need to be, or going to get to where you need to be. But so many people in this Hall of Fame have stories just similar, whatever it may be, about how they achieve what they achieve. And as I said, the number one thing I think we all need in life is opportunity. When I was called by John DeLeva, the president of the Basketball Hall of Fame, to tell me that I was in the Hall of Fame, I mean, I was speechless, and I'm not speechless many times. And my point, though, was as a player, they had a place in Springfield College, Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, I used to walk through. Then they had a place downtown, go down and see. So for me to join this incredible fraternity of guys like Bird and Bill Russell and good friends, Sam Jones and I, still are very good friends who get together 4 or 5 times. He was with the team when I tried out and became good friends over the years, and me living in Boston, all that stuff. But my point being is that to be in this incredible place, all the dreams you have, and you know, they came true. And yet you didn't do it for that reason. I didn't coach a play because I wanted to get in the Hall of Fame. I did it because I wanted to be close and do the best I could at something I loved.
Well, now the easy questions are over, Coach, because I have 4 people to my right who want to throw some fastballs. I hope you don't mind. So come on over, we'll get it started. I only have 2 rules. You let me hold the mic, and then you introduce yourself to Coach and go ahead and ask the question.
Hello, my name is Aaron Brooks. I'm from Fall River. And first off, I want to say I respect you as not only as a coach, but also a person, because I also know what it's like to lose parent or multiple parents, and like the motivation you gave yourself to become what you are today is just truly outstanding, and I'm really glad that I get to meet you. And my question is, how do you, so you're a coach obviously, how do you shape a player? So like, there may be a player who's great at like rebounding and being in the paint, but how do you make him do more than what he can do and go out and start shooting? How do you make a shooter start driving? How do you do that as a coach?
Yeah, I think for all of us, you know, we have so much more inside of us that no one knows, including you. And are you going to Durfee High School?
I actually just graduated from Durfee.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Durfee has, as you know, one of the great traditions in basketball. When they had the old Boston Tech tourney, Eastern Massachusetts Championships, the folks from Durfee, unbelievable, from the Herons, I can go way back, they had incredible players. But I think the key thing is, to truly believe in someone, you know, when I get upset with my players, and I did a lot, not because I was angry at them, because I thought there was so much more that they could do. I wouldn't accept Ray Allen, for example, who became as hard a worker to get that three-point shot as anybody. I mean, he'd shoot hour and a half a day, nonstop. When he was the Celtics, Doc Rivers and I talk a lot, and Doc Rivers said he'd wear 2 ball boys out, you know, practicing basketball. And I think very simply what I said before about winning the day, I try to tell them to stay in the moment, know what the big picture is, but stay in the moment of achieving what you can during a 24-hour period to be the best you can be. And I think if you told me you wanted to play in the NBA someday, I'd actually take you serious.
I do.
Okay? So therefore, what I'd say to you is that as hard as you think you can work, I guarantee you can do 50% more. As much dedication as you have, I can guarantee there's a lot more of you. And as much as you care, I bet you care a lot more than you even know. And I think that's what a coach does. I think he takes you and actually takes you at your word that you love something and will give it everything you possibly have.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fantastic question. All right. Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, my name's Jeannie, and I'm from Florida. And my question to you is, when you coached in the Big East, which was the best conference back then,
Yes,
what was that like? And do you think that competition throughout the year helped your teams excel in the NCAA tournament?
I always felt that the Big East was the best conference in basketball during that 15, 20-year period of any conference ever. You know, you think about Southeast Conference football, which someone from Florida would think that, and you think about the day I walked in 1986 for a meeting down Florida with the Big East, and John Thompson, Hall of Famer, Louis Conaseca, Hall of Famer, Jimmy Boeheim, Hall of Famer. I mean, go right through the list. There was Rick Pitino. There were 6 of us who were in the Hall of Fame out of 9 coaches. And the everyday competition, clearly, I'll be very honest with you, winning 3 games in a row, or 6 games you have to win for the NCAA tournament, but winning 6 games in a row in the Big East probably was harder than it was doing during the tournament. And I honestly mean that. I don't think Connecticut got an incredible gift of preparation by being good for years and years, long before the Big East, by going to the Big East. It changed our university. It changed our athletic department. It was the most special gift that UConn ever got.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll take a Big East question. I'm a Big East guy. That's fantastic. All right, here. Something tells me this is going to be the hardest question of them all, Coach.
My name is Ryan, and I'm from Maryland, and my question is, were there any players that when you first met them, they weren't as good as they are now, but you knew that if they developed a little more on something, they would be really good in the NBA?
Yeah, I think I shouldn't say surprises, because you really don't have, you know, basketball is one of the few sports I think you can tell, not necessarily when in the 10th grade, but I saw LeBron James the first time play in a high school gym as a junior in high school. He was 6'4", but he weighed 225. It almost looked unfair the way he played physically. He wasn't a great player then, but he was a great talent. So but you could tell there was something special. The guy I think surprised me most, and I don't mean necessarily because he didn't have talent, he did, might have been Ben Gordon. Ben Gordon was a 6'2" guard, which they're usually much taller. Went on to help us win a national championship, went on to average almost 19 points a game in 11 NBA years. And I think for him to take his skills and his hard work and make his mind up that he was going to be good at what he did, I mean, I don't think very few guys ever did what he did, in my opinion.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great question. All right, let's send in the closer.
Hi. It's
Hi.
so nice to meet you, number one. I'm so impressed with everything you just said. My name is Joanna Clardy. I am a full-time middle school teacher in a town called Wilton, Connecticut.
I know Wilton.
I live right on the border of Bridgeport right now.
Okay.
And I'm asking you, because I know this was recorded, so my students next year will be able to see this, and I'm going to show it to them.
Okay.
What advice would you give to all the students here, students in high school, in college, how to balance their education with sports?
Yeah, you know, I think that all of us, I mean, I wanted to be, and I was a pretty good athlete, but I wanted to be everything. And, you know, I probably the highest achievement I got when I got to the college and we got to the NCAA tournament at AIC, and and then I had reality with the Celtics, and I mean, I was a good player, but the good thing about it was I was always prepared because maybe my early life that I needed everything in my life that I attacked, I had set aside. So, for example, I ran all the time when you didn't have to run to get in shape because I wanted to be the best shape guy on the court. I studied hard so I never would have to go home, have the embarrassment of going home and facing folks that I had failed. I mean, I'm not talking about basketball, I'm talking about academics. And socially, I made myself be disciplined enough to enjoy my life, but to keep my priorities. You hear me say win the day. I truly believe that. I think if you win every day, and today may not be a basketball day for me, but it would be a day that I can accomplish a great deal in my life that has nothing to do with basketball. One of the great kids I ever had in my life about that was Emeka Okafor. Became Rookie of the Year in the NBA. And I tell people this all the time. He graduated from UConn with a 3.97 in 2.5 years. He had advanced placement in finance, honors program in finance. And here's about Emeka. When he was strength training, he ended up being 6'10", 265 with 5% body fat. I hated him for that. The body fat especially. But when he was studying, when he was weight training, playing basketball, that's what he did. He was able to put his life into compartments. When he wanted to study, he said, Coach, I don't want anybody bothering me. When he got in basketball, he didn't want to talk about studies. When he was in strength training, he was learning how to become strong. And I think in our life, if we can understand that, life's not just about that, it's about what that can do for you. The joy it can give you, the great pleasure it can give you, the scholarships it can give you, but just the camaraderie it can give you. Conversely, I tell my players all the time, I remember telling Ray Allen this, that a great, great Hall of Famer, Oscar Robertson, used to dribble a ball 2 miles to school every day and back. And I said, the great thing about that, instead of having all these kind of girlfriends, Ray, and you're a handsome guy, you have plenty of girlfriends, but that won't cost you any money. Never going to cheat on you. And it's going to do something a lot for you. And I said, Ray Allen, for his freshman year, true story, had a basketball, didn't dribble, carried a basketball to class, road trips, airplanes, as a symbol of how much he cared about the game. Ray Allen, when he retired 2 years ago, had ended up making $225 million alone just in basketball. And was incredibly polished about everything he did. And truly, we talk a lot about what that basketball took him. So don't allow sports to take you. You take the sport and do something with it.
Right, that's amazing. Thank you. Can I ask you a favor to give a shout out to the
Sure.
8 Green Middlebrook Middle School students?
What's the name of the school?
8 Green Middlebrook.
8 Green?
The Middlebrook students, Middlebrook.
The Middlebrook students, go get them. Great gal here.
Thank you so much.
That Ray Allen story was fantastic. Just fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please give a 60 Days of Summer thank you round of applause to Coach Jim Calhoun?